Did you know that Saturn's rings might actually be younger than the planet itself? Some scientists believe they could be only around 100 million years old.
The rings could be as young as only 100 million years old. A couple of clues: the low mass and the fact that they're so bright and icy that it hasn't had time to get polluted from all the micrometeoroids and darkened over a long time, like the age of the solar system.
A mere blink of an eye in the vast timeline of the universe. What's hiding in these cosmic rings? How did they come to be? Let's dive into the mystery behind these stunning ice-covered rings. Welcome to Space Theory. Today, we're embarking on an extraordinary journey to one of the most awe-inspiring objects in our solar system, Saturn's rings. But what if these beautiful rings are hiding a dark, unresolved mystery? Let's find out. What secrets do they hold? Saturn's rings are undeniably mesmerizing, but don't let their beauty fool you. They hide some of the most perplexing questions in planetary science.
We were so stunned by the images. I mean, people were just going around in shock.
One of the biggest questions about the rings is, how old are they? Could something like that really have existed from the beginning of the solar system, or is it relatively recent?
For 13 years, Cassini explored Saturn, its moons, and its rings, sending back breathtaking images and groundbreaking data.
The photos that came from Cassini of the rings are unlike anything that I could ever imagine.
Into the planet's atmosphere at the end of its mission. One of Cassini's most shocking discoveries was that Saturn's rings are likely only 100 million years old. That's a fraction of the age of the planet itself. This is a mind-blowing revelation. It means that, in a cosmic sense, Saturn's iconic rings could be a recent addition to the planet's history.
So the amazing thing is that, if you were on Earth about the time of the dinosaurs, there might have been a Saturn in the sky with no rings.
Saturn might not have had its spectacular rings at all. How did Saturn's rings form? If these rings are that young, how did they come to be? What's the story behind their creation? One possibility is that the rings formed from the debris of a shattered moon. Saturn's immense gravity could have torn this moon apart, scattering its pieces across the planet's orbit, eventually becoming the rings we see today. It's a dramatic and catastrophic event, but it could explain why the rings are relatively young. Imagine a moon getting too close to Saturn, crossing a limit known as the Roche limit, where the planet's gravity is so strong that it rips the moon apart. As this moon broke apart, the pieces spread out in orbit around Saturn.
Like pebbles on a beach, subsequent jostling and self-collisions between each other will take the sharp edges off of them, creating rounded particles.
However, there's another theory that the rings could be leftovers from Saturn's early days material that didn't get absorbed into the planet as it formed. But no matter the origin, the reality is that Saturn's rings are a fleeting feature in cosmic terms. They could even be vanishing, slowly being pulled into Saturn's atmosphere or scattered into space. The Cassini mission, unlocking Saturn's secrets. Cassini helped us unravel so many mysteries.
One of our last results from Cassini as it took its final plunge into Saturn was, as we flew past those rings, we noticed that the rings were actually not a uniform density.
I'm a ring scientist, and I just love seeing that detail and trying to figure out, why do Saturn's rings look the way they do?
There are very intricate structures, knife-edged little ringlets, and almost like the grooves in a record.
Cassini found that they're not just empty spaces. Some of these gaps are caused by tiny moons embedded within the rings themselves. These moons, and their tiny counterparts called moonlets, seem to be actively shaping the rings. As these moons orbit Saturn, their gravity tugs at the particles in the rings, creating waves, gaps, and intricate patterns. The rings are constantly evolving, shaped by the gravitational forces at play. Saturn's moons, the shepherds of the rings. One of the most fascinating things Cassini revealed was how the moons of Saturn play an essential role in shaping and maintaining the rings. It turns out that Saturn's moons are like shepherds, gently guiding the particles of ice, dust, and rock that make up the rings. They don't just passively orbit Saturn, they influence the ring system in a major way. Without these moons, the rings could collapse or scatter into space. In fact, Cassini discovered that it isn't just one or two moons keeping the rings intact. but a whole team of moons working together. A group of 7 moons holds Saturn's outermost visible ring, the A ring, in place. Think of it like a magnificent 7, working as a team to hold the ring system together. One of these moons is Mimas, which is about 1/8 the size of our moon, while the smallest is Pan, measuring only about 20 miles across. These moons exert gravitational forces on the rings, keeping them tightly packed in their orbits around Saturn. They also help maintain the complex structures in the rings, like the sharp-edged ringlets and the grooves that resemble the lines of a vinyl record. But it doesn't end there. Cassini also uncovered the resonance between the moons and the rings.
When I think about the rings of Saturn, I almost hear symphonies playing in my head. It's all about this wonderful structure and these harmonies, the balances between gravity. So we use the word resonance.
These gravitational interactions are delicate and balanced, a cosmic symphony of motion and harmony. The moons are not just holding the rings together, they are actively shaping them, creating a stunning, ever-changing structure. What happens when the rings vanish? While the rings are truly magnificent, they might not be around forever. Cassini's data suggests that Saturn's rings are slowly disappearing. Particles in the rings are gradually being pulled into Saturn's atmosphere, or scattered into space. And it's believed that the rings might dissolve completely in about 100 million years. But what happens when they're gone? Will the moons continue to orbit Saturn without the rings? Could the loss of the rings change Saturn's appearance forever? Or will something new emerge in the future? These are the big questions scientists are still trying to answer. But one thing is certain: Saturn's rings are a temporary cosmic feature, and we may be witnessing their final chapter. Saturn's rings are more than just a beautiful sight. They're a key to understanding the evolution of planetary systems, the behavior of ice and dust in space, and even the fate of moons and planets in the future. Thanks to Cassini's mission, we've learned so much about how Saturn's rings work, how they were formed, and what's keeping them in place. Cassini has shown us that Saturn's rings are not just an ornamental feature, they're a living, dynamic system that gives us insight into the forces that shape our universe. So, what do you think? How long do you think Saturn's rings will last? What secrets do they still hold? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to check out our next video where we explore the strange moons of Jupiter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more cosmic revelations. See you next time on Space Theory.